welcome to Podcast First Play, episode 263. I'm one of your hosts, Cal, and as always, I'm joined by a man who told me in Britain when you turn 100, you get a letter from the king. When you turn 16, you get a text from Prince Andrew. It's only bloody Dan.
Hello.
Hello. We're early this week, Dan.
We are.
We are.
Is there a particular reason for this?
There is.
Because you're bothering me from doing things?
There is a particular reason, Dan. We have both watched the MCU movie, The Marvels. We're a little bit behind everyone else, but we've watched it now.
Yes.
And because we can't talk about it until we do the podcast, we thought we'll bump the podcast up early so we can talk about it.
Yeah, I mean, I know that everyone's eager for our opinion on this.
Oh, obviously,
3 months after the fact. Yeah.
I heard some people haven't watched it until we watched it.
Yeah, maybe. So this is perfectly timed if that's the case, yeah.
But, Dan, before we even touch on The Marvels and any other MCU property that we've got going on, why don't you touch your mouse and scroll up to the old URL bar at the top and go to podcastversusplayer.com and check out the store. There's some lovely little designs on there, Dan. And while you're on there, you can look at some of our new reviews. And have you got a favourite in particular, Dan? I don't care, because you're not going to get the model number right, but the latest review is the Mayono PD200X dynamic microphone. Reviews up on the website in all its written glory, as well as the video, but you can also just go to the YouTube channel and watch the review on there. So, Dan, plugs are over. Gloves are off. Belt's undone.
Okay. Now we're ready for the Marvels.
Yeah, the Marvels is currently sat at 62% on Rotten Tomatoes. It has got a slightly higher audience score, but we don't care about the audience. The film underperformed at the box office, grossing $206 million worldwide against a gross production budget of $274.8, which made it the lowest grossing film in the MCU.
Thanks.
Even less than Eternals.
And that is saying something,
Yeah.
considering there's already been a Captain Marvel movie. Captain Marvel's been in
The Avengers.
Infinity War and Endgame.
Well, yeah.
And we've already had a Miss Marvel show on Disney Plus,
which was all right.
Brie Larson popped up at the end, which, you know, we talked about it back in the day. It was pretty enjoyable. We weren't super sure on her power set, given the fact that it's
changed
this
dramatically.
This light-based power rather than stretchiness.
Yeah.
But if anything from this film, they've explained. Okay, well, in order for us to get these three together, in order to get to this thing, she has to have a light thing, not a stretchy skin thing. So we've tweaked it slightly. I don't know if I would necessarily agree. What was it, 62%?
62% critics, yes.
Yeah, what was the audience on that?
81, I think.
That might be a little high. I'd say that I'd say that middling between those two is a figure that I'd be a bit more comfortable with, maybe.
I'd go with the highest mid-70s at the highest, but I'm probably more looking at very randomly like 72.
Yeah, the thing is though, we've not really had a huge amount of MCU wins as of late, and this time, 4 or 5 years ago, they were untouchable. Pretty much everything that they were churning out was just knocking it out of the park. And now it's very much like is this all we're going to get anymore? It's just, you know, it was very safe. It was fun. You know, I like the family in the show.
Yeah.
Like Kamala Khan's family. Having them in space was funny. You know, no need for them to really be in space, but
it's
sure,
that
secret organization. But again, you know, having her mom shout at Nick Fury and Captain Marvel or whatever, why not?
Yeah, it'd be getting involved with the fight scene, like when that was
quite good. The Kree smashing up a house and they just keep getting smashed through walls and stuff, and it's like, you'd all be dead. I'm sorry, but like none of you can stand up against these two.
My biggest criticism of the film, my biggest criticism is there was a lot of really good potential to it. So a big example of it, we get to see the little flashback as to why I can't remember the name of the main villain, but she had
oh shit. It was Nadar or
something
Nabar
like
or
that,
Natax or something like that.
And so Nandor was very against
Fucking Captain Marvel.
and we find out why she doesn't like her, and we see this brief flashback and why she gets the nickname. Was it the Annihilator?
Yeah.
And Captain Marvel's gone in, wrecking loads of stuff. She fucks the AI up that's running the planet and effectively commits a war crime. Effectively, but that should have been the opening of the film.
Callum, I 100% agree. Like, the Annihilator stuff where she just comes screaming in. I would love to see something like this, which is a movie based around... Because she looked like she was just part of the Star Force, like the Kree Star Command, whatever they were called. I can't remember. You know what Jude Law was in?
Yeah.
And, like, the team that Captain Marvel was on. And she had a bit of a, Bruce Wayne... Batman v Superman sort of like, what the fuck? Like, this thing has just zipped in, destroyed the AI that's controlling everything. I've been squished by a bunch of rocks, and like, she looks terrifying. Like, when she's like all powered up with the helmet on and the eyes and everything. Like, if you didn't know who that was and why they were there, you'd be like, oh my god, this person's here to ruin us.
Yeah. And that's exactly what
Hence
she
the
did.
name. Exactly. But again, that's the thing, right? So she gets this name, and she gets this kind of cool rep from the Kree. I would have loved to have seen that.
Yeah. But that's what I mean. Don't just tell us about it and give us like a 12-second clip of it. Show us the whole thing. What happened? How do you deal with the aftermath of that when you realise what you've done?
Exactly. Like, how did she try and like undo some of the damage, like, because she's, again, I'm not really, they might have gone into it, I don't know, but if they were sort of talking about the timelines from like when she left, because I don't know if this is before the end game stuff, could this have been
this is the end of Captain Marvel, isn't it? She says she's going off to the Kree to sort it out, basically.
Okay, sure. Well, if she's going after the Supreme Intelligence, also the Supreme Intelligence room looks fucking sick. Yeah. Like, with that massive head and those eyes, explodes immediately. I was like, oh man. But she goes there, like, she doesn't try and understand, like, she doesn't ask anyone, like, hey everyone, I know that this thing runs the planet, and like presumably all infrastructure and whatever.
What would happen if
theoretically? If I blew it up, what kind of problems would that cause? Or is she just so fixated on the fact of this thing has been in control of me, it's controlling everyone else as a result, I'll go in, I'll kill it, and I'm a hero.
Yeah.
And then, like you say, that there's another part after that where it's just like, oh shit, like, what have I done?
I've doomed everyone.
Yeah, like, I don't quite know, and I didn't really want to touch on this quite so soon, but if you destroy the AI, why do all the oceans disappear and why does the sun go out?
Don't explain it. It's just that was the reason for it, and
I get it. Like, if you go, oh well, it's in control of all production factories or whatever, and like there was no pollution control because the computer couldn't do it anymore or whatever, and like that's why they can't all breathe anymore. Cool, that makes total sense. Why the oceans vanished, not sure about that. And why the sun went out and they're holding her accountable for it means that the AI was somehow controlling the sun.
That's what I was of the impression of. The fact that you've had questions about it makes me then question myself and go, did I just misunderstand everything else?
Potentially so. Or is it just a case of, she's come in, fucked the planet up and they can't see anymore or whatever, but the sun and the ocean was something unrelated and they're just holding it against her anyway?
Again, it could be that because they don't explain it. That seems more plausible. Or, because by that logic, if it was because of the AI, that means it wasn't a real sun.
But she went in and ignited it as if it was.
Yeah, that's which makes me then think that it was just a coincidence that they both went out around about the time that happened, because I can't imagine it was instant.
No, I don't think suns just died.
Yeah, it's not like just flicking a switch. It's a boom.
No, not really. But again, that's why I'm just sort of like, oh well, that would have, like, seen her heroic actions from the eyes of those that she's attempting to liberate or whatever. Like, she would be seen as the enemy.
I think that would have made it a much more interesting film. Open it up with that, more in it,
Yeah.
so it's not just like a very quick flashback. You can teleport like into time, fast forward into like now, after, but start off with that, because for the rest of the film, Captain Marvel will be seen as the enemy, which is completely different to any other Marvel film. And she redeems herself at the end. Spoilers, but
but again, like it would make more sense then, because you understand why she hates herself because of what she's done, and why she didn't want to go home.
Yeah.
And like Maria's just sort of like, you fucking abandoned me.
But she's also a fully grown adult. So she should be able to understand and go, I know you're a superhero and you've been off and you've been saving the world and everything else, but you said when I was 8 you would come back and you didn't.
I think it's the blip thing. I think it's because the blip happened, she vanished, and her mom died on her own.
Yeah, but that's not Captain Marvel's fault.
Just...
That's Star-Lord's fault.
Again, she was off doing Thanos-related stuff, presumably, which again, I get, but you're still sort of like, well, I don't care about your superhero bullshit. You bailed on me. Like, the reasons as to why are completely irrelevant. Like, it doesn't matter if it's because you were busy at work and you couldn't get time off, or it's because you're on the other side of the galaxy saving shit. Also, as we've seen, these ships can basically go across the galaxy almost instantaneously.
Yeah, very, very fast.
So you could have just knocked off for an early night and just gone and popped in and said hello.
Well,
and
I'm pretty sure she's faster than a ship, just in general.
Maybe so, yeah.
Because I always thought of it. Every time I see her in a ship, I just assume it's just as her house.
Or she just so she can... It's like... like Batman has a plane or whatever, and if this the same sort of the Avengers, you know, they'll be on a Quinjet or whatever, having a mooch around, having a chat. Most of them can fly better than that plane can, but they will need to be together to have a conversation or to sort something out or whatever, or just to...
But she's on her own.
They can't be asked. Yeah, she is with
just
Goose.
With Goose. As we've already seen, he's okay in space.
I mean, apparently all of them are. Like, space doesn't really... Like, it's not a vacuum. You can just have a chat and stuff. And I mean, it's sci-fi rules, isn't it? Like, you can talk in space and you can shoot in space and hear explosions and stuff when the story decides that it's cool.
Because that was something, I don't know whether you noticed this, Dan, and I may have to, when it finally shows up on Disney Plus, go back and rewatch. But the Goose, when he's on her shoulder, his tail's wagging at a normal speed.
Right.
But obviously he's in space, so it wouldn't be going whoop, 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 whoop.
You do realise that cats can control their tails?
Yeah, I know he's wagging his tail, but what I'm saying is, like, the same as like if I'm in space, I can't just go like this.
Of course you can.
It'll go woo. Slow, innit?
No, it's gravity that has an effect on you. So if you're going to jump, then it will take a lot longer for you to come back down, but you can still move at the same speed.
Does it? So why do all the space people always move really slow?
Because again, they're moving. They're walking or whatever.
Hey, like when they're just turning around.
Well, to be fair, that suit would have been enormous, and like trying to get any momentum
I
in
suppose,
it would probably
yeah.
be difficult.
Yeah. Anyway, one of my
But
favourite
also,
scenes.
it's an alien.
Yeah.
So don't worry about it.
It's a CGI cat, though. It's not even real.
That's true.
Let's go through the things we don't like.
Okay, cool. Go for it. I've got a feeling that your list is going to be a bit longer than mine.
Not massively. Like, just on a whole, before we jump into that, the film's fine. It's not bad.
Yeah.
It's just not good. And I was this is the first Marvel thing, not just film, TV shows, everything else included. It's the first one I got bored. And I've never had that with most other Marvel. I've had it with a few, to be fair. But for the most part, I never get bored. I might not like it, but I'll see it all the way through. This, I was constantly just going, fucking hell, still got another fucking... I want to go home.
It was a very short one. It was only like an hour and
it didn't
a half,
didn't feel it. And when one of your sections is a planet that's completely a musical, makes it even feel even longer. And again, it's fine because it's a silly, funny thing, but it just felt very... The whole film seemed to... Panda's the wrong word, so you might have to interject me with a different word. But it felt like it was them going, are you a girl? and you want to like Marvel movies, then we're going to make one and just do all the things. Like, you've just got like Uncle Ned, who hasn't spoken to a girl in 50 years. These are all the things he thinks girls will like. Now, if girls like Marvel films, they like Marvel films. Simple as that. And if you want to go down that route, just get Chris Hemsworth to take his shirt off.
But that's a treat for everyone.
But that's what I mean, and it just seemed very... The choices seemed real weird. And I don't know whether that is just me taking it in the context it wasn't meant to be delivered in. I will say, though, this is my first version of Captain Marvel that I really like. I like Brie Larson a lot, but I didn't like Captain Marvel, the movie. I didn't like her performance, and they didn't really give her a great deal to do. Just be a wooden doll, and that's all they went with. Didn't see enough of her in Endgame and in Infinity War and stuff. But I liked this version of Captain Marvel. You got the quips, you got everything else, and this was a really good version of it. Didn't like Monica in Wanda. No particular reason.
Is it Maria or Monica? Am I getting those mixed up?
No, it's Monica. Monica Rambeau. Maria.
That's
Photon. Are you thinking of Maria Hill?
No, because it's Maria Rambeau. That's her
mum, isn't it?
yeah, but that's what I mean. I keep getting their names
I'm
the wrong way round.
98% sure it's Monica. Google it while I'm rambling.
I'm gonna have a little look
while I'm Ramboing, and but I liked this version of it. She seemed to have more to do. Is it Camilla? It
is Monica. Monica's the kid. Maria's.
That's what I said.
No, I'm trying to get it in my own brain.
She's fantastic in the show, and she's fantastic in this. She's arguably one of the better parts of the movie throughout. I like every interaction, even down to this is another thing, actually. Right? So she's obsessed with Captain Marvel. She is throughout the show in this. Why? What's she done for Earth?
I mean, she
did one thing back in the 90s.
No,
and then she's been away in space.
Stuff, didn't she?
Yeah, but again, that was in space.
No, the Endgame stuff wasn't in space, was it?
The majority of it was. And then they went to Wakanda.
Wasn't it? Wakanda was like the massive battle, wasn't it?
Yeah. But again, she wouldn't have known that. We know that because we watched it.
yeah, but I imagine that there was like a big, are you kidding me? A gigantic alien battle that happens in a country that's full of like superheroes and shit. Like that would have been on the news. I'm surprised it's not on every channel still. Like documentaries and this is what happened and this is what we saw and this is what and and she was like a pivotal part of this and she helped and blah 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 and she's so powerful and whatever. And it's just sort of it's a role model thing. It's just like, oh my god, there's a woman and she's the most powerful person. But that's
all I think it is. I don't think it's of anything she's done. I think it's because
it's not like
she's a woman.
It's not like it's like she's sort of high-fived her on the street or saved her from a thing and she's kind of like, but again, those things play into that. But there's more than enough people who absolutely obsess over a thing that they've never seen. Or
it's a very real thing that happens throughout and in every medium. It's just, again, it feels like they've only done it because this... I mean, we've got Black Widow, but she's also killed like hundreds of thousands of people. And you haven't really got another female hero. And they've just gone, yeah, do that. And it doesn't feel deserved, especially when we find out the stuff that we find out in this film.
She's committed genocide.
Yeah. And again, it just feels very forced. And like I say, up until this film, there was no reason for these three heroes to meet, realistically.
I don't know. I disagree to a degree. I think that like she's always been the sort of the fangirl. Like she knows all about the Avengers, everything about the Avengers. So she knows who Nick Fury is, upside down in space. Yeah. And she's like, oh my god, Nick Fury, no way.
I did that.
That was like the head of the most secretive director of he was. It's like you recognizing the head of MI6.
Yeah.
because he's so famous or whatever. Like they kind of steer away from that sort of thing on purpose. So knowing this superhero team that saved the world, you know, and there's one that you kind of focus in on. Like all the X-Men, they're all cool, but you focus in on one of them because that's your guy.
Yeah.
Same thing. And presumably she's been doing this for several years as well. So she was a kid, she was obsessed. It's hero worship. And then
I think that's something
like I say, there's
better of in the game though. The one thing the Avengers game did well though is that portrayal of her just idolizing over these heroes. And I don't think it was done as well in the show.
I have a feeling, though, that if they could have gotten away with having Brie Larson in it in some cool, or had Kamala in something in the Avengers, and she was saved, like as apparently Peter Parker was supposed to be in Iron Man 2, you know, so that's why he's like, oh my god, Tony Stark, you're the coolest. If she'd had something like that, then it would make a bit more sense as to why she's kind of so fixated on her. But at the same time, like, who else female superhero team-wise? You know, your Avengers, you've got Scarlet Witch, who's...
Again, she's killed people.
A lot of people. And, you know, she's, again, like a scientific experiment, but she's gone on to kill people in, you know, in
the beginning
Johannesburg or wherever it was. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, she blows half a building up. Again, not intentionally, but you know.
I know, like, because obviously before her and Quicksilver they're working against the Avengers in
exactly.
Ultron,
so they're technically
the
baddies. Black Widow, who's an assassin, a Russian assassin. Help me.
That's what you got movie wise. Unless you start counting like Valkyrie and stuff, but she wouldn't know anything about Valkyrie.
No, she wouldn't know any of the like the Dora Milaje. She wouldn't know about any of them. Like that's just one person that you can just go. They're in a cool costume. They can fly. They're invulnerable. They're so powerful. That if I could be anyone, that's who I'd be. It's the same. You know, you're looking at your DC roster and you go, God, if I could be anyone, I'd be Superman.
Yeah,
invulnerable except to like one thing, the nicest person, the kindest person. That's why she's always just like, oh, don't worry about it, Captain Marvel's here, she'll sort it out. But without knowing any context of if anything, I kind of would have liked that a little bit more when she's on the Skrull colony or whatever. Also, I think that the villain in this is a bit sort of like, it's just
typical.
It's someone who gets
by the numbers.
Kinda, yeah. You know, they get a bit of power, they get smashed into a wall and stabbed to death.
Yeah.
Fine, that means that you weren't very strong. And if you weren't very strong, then she should have one-shotted you like you were nothing. But whatever. But when she's, like, opening, like, the portals, like, forcing them open to, like, suck an atmosphere out to populate. Brilliant.
Yeah.
Genuinely, like, if you want to restart a planet and fuck people over at the same time, that's the way to go about it. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, love it.
In the same scene, though, for that is you get to see the first bit of like Kamala's disappointment, where she wants to save everyone, and Captain Marvel's like, "We save who we can and get out."
Yeah, we've got the ones we can. We leave now. We all die.
And obviously that puts a bit of a dampener on that pedestal that she's been holding her to all this time.
I agree, but then when they have this shared memory thing where she, you know, you see this Annihilator flashback where she's going and like blowing up a thing and, you know, causing problems. What I would have liked more is a bit more of Kamala sort of going, oh, wait, what? What do you mean? You just you blew up a thing and you devastated a planet? Like
they just get over it very quick.
Like you're Captain Marvel. You shouldn't be doing that sort of stuff. There's no pushing on that. It just focuses almost immediately on. You came back to Earth to see my mom before she died.
Look back to Civil War when you see they find out about Bucky being responsible for Tony's parents' murder, and he's like, "Yeah, but it wasn't. That's not Bucky. That was a brainwashed person." They don't just gloss over it. And he goes, "Yeah, so I guess I see where you're coming from. Like, wasn't you? You didn't know. Don't worry about it." No, he doesn't. He tries to fucking kill him. And that, I'm not saying she should try to kill Captain Marvel, but it should be more of a Explain yourself.
Yeah, like I need to understand.
Yeah, but it wasn't.
Like
Twinsies.
I do kind of like that. Like I like the sort of, they built up a little bit of a team thing, and like they practiced their switching ability so that they could kind of get that down. Like I really enjoyed the fight that they have with that woman with the hammer.
Yeah.
Nadine, whatever her name is.
Nandor.
Like where they're sort of like Nandor, sorry. They're just switching on the fly, and there's a really cool move where like one of them sort of like throws the hammer like around her and then switches, and then the other one catches it and like smacks her against a wall. There was like a bunch of that where I was just like, oh, this woman, this poor woman, she's getting absolutely trounced by these three. Like, it's barely a fight. Like, she just gets fucking obliterated.
There's no... I don't think there was any fight scenes I didn't like. They're definitely the best bits of the film, especially when they've been practicing, and you get a funny little montage when they're trying to work it out, and it's like on the count of three, like 1, 2, 3, go. But they've already gone on three.
Go.
Yeah, they're like, why would you say go if we're going on three? I liked all of that stuff, and which is we'll touch on this bit in a bit, but the effects in this were really good, especially when some of the last few Marvel, not just the films, the shows as well, but some of the Marvel things have been a bit iffy in the CGI scale.
You get the sense that they are just in a room with a thing around them. Whereas I felt like the lighting and stuff like that was a bit more natural.
Yeah.
Again, you're obviously not on a giant water planet, but like all of the like, I tell you what, actually, I was just like, wow, that looks amazing. Is the Saber base, like the space station? Like I was just like, is this a miniature?
Could be.
Like the detail on it is so good. I was just like, wow, they are going to be using this for something else.
Yeah.
Like, there's no way that they've put this much effort into it. Also, when did they build that?
I'm guessing this was done before Secret Invasion. It must have been.
I don't know, because that is a Star Trek level.
It's fucking huge.
Starbase. It's enormous. There's like 300 staff on it or whatever. And also, that dude is like, I'm like 306 years old.
Yeah.
Are you? Where did you come from?
I've never seen you perform my life.
I was just like, is this a guy from the Eternals? And I've forgotten about him or what? But also, the space station, love the design of it. I love the fact that they've all got like matching ridiculous bright white space.
Everything's
suits.
very clean. And
love it.
crisp.
It's so comic book that they've all got like these matching white with a big S. So stupid. I love it. Like the kittens thing, it's funny. It's kittens. And like they look great actually. Like and they're sort of like floating around in the cabin and stuff. They look great. All I can think of is if you can make a fluffy little kitten with a billion hairs and flapping around, and it looks like a real cat in space. How the fuck did DC get it so wrong with all the babies in the Flash that they all look like awful, horrible monsters?
Well, this was ILM.
Is it easier to make a cat than a baby? It's one. I mean, blob. It's all the same colour.
I would say, as used in the most loosest terms, as an artist, I find it easier to draw an animal than it is to draw a real person. So I assume, and that's not me struggling to draw a human. It's just it's a hell of a lot easier to do a better picture of an animal. Mainly because you've got more things to hide. So especially like a kitten, foot that face up, or foot that eye up a bit more than it's just a mess. Just put some fur over it so it looks like it's poking through kind of thing. Can't do that with a baby.
Maybe, but I mean, I totally accept that if that's the case, and that's fine.
This was also ILM though that did this.
Yeah, man, you can tell. Like the fur, like I say, that is a completely digital cat. It looks amazing.
Yeah. I assume they use some real ones at some point for picking them up and that.
Oh, definitely, like when they're running around. But there's definitely a couple of times where like someone's like bent down and picked something up, and I've had to sit there and gone, is that a real cat, or are they just holding a tennis ball? Like I was struggling to kind of tell the difference, which again is a really good testament to how good it looks.
It also could be down to the acting, because especially when they've already captured. Should I explain exactly what happened as well? They hadn't got enough room to get the people on the escape pods.
As a weird MacGuffin thing, I kind of like that. I like to sort of like just everyone just stay calm and just let the flurkins eat you. And everyone's just screaming, running around. Brilliant. It's like a Doctor Who episode or something.
It was absolutely like proper bonkers, but I really appreciated the fact that it wasn't filmed funny. It was filmed like a horror. And I
kind of, yeah.
love that.
Just these tentacles just slapping around everywhere.
You got people like where they Koala does like the wall so they can't get through, and then that guy's just squashed against it, and then she's like, takes him away.
It just drags
so
off.
Good.
She's like, I'm so sorry.
But on that, when they've caught everyone and the kittens are making the way to the ship, you can, well, personally, again, this just could be really good acted, but it seemed like they were real kittens because of how like careful they would be in trying to call them to get them on the ship.
Yeah, there weren't people running around.
Nah, they were...
Because it's like, oh, one dodgy step and that kitten's smushed.
Yeah.
And we don't want a smushed kitten on a Disney film. But so they got like little toys and stuff. So I reckon that there's probably like 2 or 3 that they're kind of like trying to interact with or whatever. Yeah. And they got the ones that are like jumping on consoles and stuff that are
CGI.
But at the same time, you could say, if you told me that, oh no, 70% of all those kittens are real, I'd be like, sure.
I'd believe you.
Oh, if you said none of them are, there's literally not a single cat in that whole film.
It turns out flirkins are real.
Yeah, this whole time.
But that's why I was so annoyed with the end. We're not going to talk about that bit just yet. But of how good those cats looked and everything else, like Captain Marvel flying off and stuff, all the effects that that they had through the main characters and stuff. And then we got the end. Didn't look that good. That's why it annoyed me.
I disagree.
That's why it annoyed me.
I disagree. I think we'll get to it.
Yeah, but we'll talk about that in a bit.
So there's a water planet that she's a princess of. Yeah. When they get there, it turns out that all of their language is just singing. I don't believe that any species could evolve where their only manner of communication is singing.
In English
what
as
if
well.
there's a fire?
Here goes. Make your way to the fire assembly point.
Everyone's dead. Run. Too late. Smoke inhalation. Everyone's dead. Fire! Quick, get out, everyone.
Well, that's what they do because he's like, right, enough of this. Can we go somewhere and talk? He's like, yeah, no worries. Like, you could talk. Yeah, he's bilingual. No, that's just the same as singing. It's not. They wasn't singing in Japanese, and then he talked in English.
Wasn't a Fifth Element space opera. Screaming, whatever. I'll be honest though, I don't know if there was anything important either said or shown. As soon as they started singing, I skipped ahead. Yeah. I was like, I'm not dealing with this. I had a Star Trek episode of Strange New Worlds that was basically the same thing, and I had to skip that whole thing. I was just like, this could have been one of the best episodes of the season. I ain't going to watch it then. Because I refuse to accept that we are back at a point that was popular in the 90s where they just be like, fuck it, throw a musical episode in.
This is what I mean.
Please don't.
It felt like they only put it in to appeal. Oh, girls love musicals. Girls love Disney movies and stuff. That's how it felt, and films should never do that. They should be for like even Barbie didn't do that. Like, you know,
what you mean about? There's a bunch of musicals in Barbie.
No, but
there's a bunch of songs in Barbie.
No, but what I mean is Barbie wasn't. They didn't just go, "This is a film for girls."
Oh, so it wasn't like, oh, rainbows and kittens and whatever. It was just like,
opposite.
let's empower women. Yeah. Let's be strong. And it's like all the I didn't watch Barbie and go, God, another song. Like all of them, they had impact.
Exactly.
They were, it was very integral to the core of it. This did feel like it was just tacked on, and I don't quite know why. I don't think it added anything to the fact that they all sang, other than the fact that it's just. Like when she was there and she was like, "Oh, I'm a princess here because of a legal matter or whatever." Yeah. I was like, "Oh, that's funny," and then it's like, "Oh, and they all sing," so I was like, "Skip." And then I just literally got to the point where they were coming down some stairs and they just took off and they all had new outfits, and I was like, "I'm sure that was explaining the song, but I don't care. I don't care enough to go back and watch it."
Didn't miss much,
but Photon's outfit, kind of dig that, but the other one was alright as well. The Captain Marvel one. It's kind of okay, like with the giant star thing, but...
Is it the same one from... I'm sure it's the same one from Endgame, though, isn't it?
No, she still had a normal outfit for Endgame. Like, this is a brand new one with like, that massive star on it.
It just looked the same to me.
But Kamala's, I hated. Like, I really like... Yeah, I totally agree. Like the one that she had in the show, I think works so much better. And now again, this is probably my own fault. And they skipped past it I skipped past it in the song or whatever. And the prince guy's like, use your scarf, and she's like whipping people around. I was like,
it's not explained. It's just she hadn't.
When did she come Indiana Jones? Like just fucking whipping fools around or whatever. Like, and she's like just doing it instantly. And I was like, is that like a nano whip or like
Just a
some
normal
mad
scarf.
tech or whatever?
Just a scarf.
No, but you can't do that with a scarf. You can't do that. That's not how scarves work.
Bet John Wick could.
Also, why would you be using scarves when you got? Oh yeah, because you can't.
She
use
can't.
powers. Okay, yeah. I'd say give me a gun.
But the thing is,
give me a gun or a sword or something. Why am I going to use a
he
scarf?
had a sword or a staff, or he had a weapon, and at no point did he go, "Take this. I can get another one. We've got an armory."
I'm the prince or whatever. Yeah. Here, use this piece of fabric.
But that's also not explained very well because they basically go, right, stop all the singing, and he's like, oh yeah, okay, let's go talk, and they explain that he's bilingual and that's why he can talk and not sing, and she's just like, need your help, and that's pretty much all they do.
Okay.
And then there's a big fight, and a load of his people get killed.
Well, I'd imagine all of them do.
A lot
because
of them did. I don't think they all do.
No, because they activate they activate the portal to suck the oceans up, and then Kamala's like, "Fuck this, we need to go."
Yeah,
they just left.
That's true. It's never explained what happened after.
No one shut the portal.
That's what I mean. They've just gone.
So, I mean, not to say that all of the people were killed immediately because of it, but they said that the oceans were like 99.62% of the planet or something, or the surface of the planet. Which would lead me to believe that they've probably evolved a very specific way of living that revolves around the water.
Around water, yeah.
So if their entire water supply is gone, then no more oceans, no more tides, no more clouds, no more rain. No, like,
how come none of them were
singing? Imagine
that when they were fighting.
Again, I didn't really pay that much attention to it.
None of them did. None of them did.
Oh, maybe it's only singing when it's talking. When you go, ah!
Oh, no, but I mean, like, because they'll be like, they'll have, like, oh, there's someone behind you. There's someone going to jump from there. I've ran out of whatever ammunition they use.
It's like sonic stuff, or like, but again, is it like hydro weapons? Like, where it's like shooting.
I don't explain it.
No, but then the planet's just left for dead, presumably, because. And also, that's the thing I don't get.
That.
Like, they sucked. Let's just assume that that's what happened. They sucked an entire planet that's 99% water dry to refill the oceans of their planet. I'm pretty sure that if we lost all of the water on Earth, and you found, I don't know what the size of the planet is, let's just say it's a similarly sized planet.
Yeah.
If you took all the water from a planet that's 99% covered in water and dumped it on Earth, I'm pretty sure we'd all drown.
Of course we would.
Like, that would have to be very specific maths that were done to be like, okay, what planets have got enough water to refill our oceans that Captain Marvel has an association to?
Yeah, that makes more sense.
Because if that was the case, I would have... I mean, I'll be honest, Callum, I just thought of this. I don't quite know why I didn't think of it straight away. You could have just come to Earth. And you could have got the water, you could have got the air, and you could have got the sun in one big go.
Yeah.
But the planet that she's got like a passing legal standing with, you take their ocean, a Skrull colony that she's got a passing notion of, she takes the air off, and then she comes to Earth for the sun. Come here, 3 portals, you get them all in one go.
Look at just kill everyone on Earth and live here.
Nah, I don't think they got that. I'll tell you what you could do. You open a portal, you suck all the air out, back onto your planet or whatever, everybody dies, and then you open another one, and you put all the air back, bang, there's your planet.
Job done.
Yeah, and then you can just move everybody in, because you've got water, you've got infrastructure, you've got a sun that's not going to die, and you've got all Stark tech or whatever. Like, there's plenty to work with there.
And we know that they can breathe in our atmosphere because Jude Law was there.
Very good point. Very good point. Exactly. So the sort of the villain plan doesn't really... I think they just said we need to have Kamala save the world to some degree.
Yeah.
Although, explain this to me, right? She, like, when the Nandor gets the other band, this other quantum band, and she flies off into space to open up this portal, Kamala can still use her abilities.
Yeah. It's not dependent on the band, is it?
But then why, in the name of fuck, would you take that with you?
As soon as you find out, you go, wait, she's after the other band, and I've got the other band. Probably just leave this on Captain Marvel's ship and just hide it.
Put it in a cupboard.
That's what I mean. Yeah, you don't need, because she doesn't need that to use her powers.
No, but then she uses the. But I think it's because of her mutation, right, that she can control it, which is why she can have two of them and charge Photon.
Well, I thought it was more like an amplification thing. So she's got powers without it, but with the band she's stronger.
Oh, okay.
That's what I thought it was.
Yeah, and Nandor didn't have any of that innate ability, so as soon as she used it, she exploded immediately.
Yeah. Which her number 2 very politely did point that out at the beginning.
Yeah, it's just like, oh, this is
the
classic.
We need to make it stronger.
Oh, it's power, but if there's too much power, it'll be your undoing if you go too much power. And she's like, yeah, it's definitely worth it though. Don't worry about it. But then she flies off into space. I might need to rewatch this to absolutely nail this down. But she goes from the ship. She's got the other band. She goes into space. She opens another rift to drain the sun.
Yeah.
How does that rift change from being a portal to what? I don't know. It will just take the energy from one sun and just pour it into the other. I don't know how that works, but I don't know if that's.
I don't think
case.
I don't think it finished the prep of what she was trying to do, and then Captain Marvel's blasted through. She's died anyway because of the power of that. Captain Marvel somehow passed out or whatever, and then Kamala grabs them to bring her back. I think.
But I don't understand how there was a tear in space and time. Was it the same thing? Again, I might need to rewatch that. But now that you said it, it makes way more sense to move your population. It would be easier to move your population of a planet than to drain one sun and pour it into another.
Well, the simplest way of doing it is exactly what you said. Take the oxygen from Earth, give it to the other planet. Everyone on Earth dies. Force it back through. Everyone goes to Earth. Job done.
Yeah.
It's like I don't know. How long do you reckon we could survive without oxygen? Everyone on Earth. Not long.
you can live without oxygen for about 3 minutes, I think.
Yeah. So
like before there's like complete and total brain death or something. But there will be the odd person who's hooked up to a ventilator at the moment. Yeah. They would be okay.
Yeah. Good point. But they're also not going to be any issue.
No, but also when you suck all the air out, that means that all plant life would probably die. All animals would probably die. So you'd be starting from scratch, basically. Yeah.
Which is what they're effectively going to have to do anyway.
The
oceans aren't just going to magically reappear and plant life and stuff isn't just going to start growing.
They've got their own buildings and stuff. They've got a life figured out for them. They just want to carry on where they are.
Yeah.
But I can't imagine that is the most straightforward way. But I also... So at the start, they go to... Like, she's talking to the Skrull Emperor. And she's like, we want to make a deal with you. There's a lot of history that we've got. We don't want to carry that on anymore. So, we want your atmosphere.
Yeah.
But we'll evacuate you first. So we'll take you wherever you want to go, or however that's going to work. But we want to drain the atmosphere. And they're like, well, I don't know about that. But then she goes to the water planet, and she's like, fuck you all, take the ocean. But because she's not there to negotiate with the prince to be like, I'm gonna take your ocean, like your mad ocean, but I'll evacuate all of you first because I don't have a beef with you.
Yeah.
It's Captain Marvel that I've got a problem with. So she goes down to the surface to then immediately start attacking them, to then steal the ocean. Tell you what, if you're not going to ask them, rock up, take the ocean straight away.
Yeah, you don't even need to do anything.
You don't need to talk to them at all. Because all you're going to do is you're going to get jumped
Well,
Like, because I'll need to rewatch it, but I'm pretty sure she doesn't go, "Oh, nice to meet you again. I've got a proposition for you. We're going to have to take your ocean, but we'll evacuate
no,
all
she
your
doesn't.
people."
She doesn't do that.
No, she goes to jump them, and then Photon just blasts her through a wall or whatever, and they all start fighting. If you weren't going to ask permission, just do it. Yeah. I reckon. Just take the ocean. What are they going to do? Sing at you?
I mean, it might have done. I don't know.
Please
maybe
don't.
Maybe that's why she just went straight in, because she's like, I'm not being sung at again.
I was here. There was this whole thing. It was 4.5 hours to get through breakfast. Yeah, if that's the case, and she's like, I'm sorry, I'm not willing to go into negotiations with you because fuck me.
But again, that's just something they had to do as just like a throwaway comment before she went. That makes sense then. But they didn't, like I say, just attacks. But just going back to the bit where she's got both the bands and they've defeated her, whatever, blah 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 blah. Why did Photon have to fix the rift from the other side?
Because she was literally forcing it closed.
But could you not do it from this side?
I'm going to say that Star Trek rules, usually when there's a big rift, a big hole in space-time or whatever it is, you usually just fire a big beam into it from the deflector dish, from whichever side you're on, and that's usually enough to fix it.
Exactly.
Whereas this, it looks like it's like a literal... Like there is a literal grid that you are pushing back together.
But
one
the
could
grid
make the
looked the
argument
same on both sides, though.
You could pull it shut rather than push it shut.
Yeah. Because you still had like all the hexagons and that on either side.
Yeah.
And that's what she's doing was just moving them together. So you could have done it from this side.
It depends on whether that innate power thing is... if it's like a projection, like you're pushing all of that power out of you, then you can't do that the other way.
I suppose, yeah.
It's not like it's a whip that you've whipped around and then you can just sort of reel it in. Like, she's just projecting all of that power out to seal it. That I don't really have a problem with.
Only because of what happens.
Yeah, that is... that seems a bit more...
Shall we just jump to that?
Okay, yeah, sure. Let's wrap this up. Again, we're talking. So we've talked a bit about things that don't really make sense. A lot of these films don't make sense if you start to look at them in any degree.
No.
It's a fun little... like I said to you when I told you to finally get round to it, it's safe. Like it doesn't have to be the be-all and end-all. It's a decent introduction to Saber to some degree. Now there's a million Flurkins that are just sort of around, so you can always use them as something, I guess. They got a giant space station. They got a big space elevator. Yeah. All of that sort of stuff's cool. We know that Photon's obviously probably not going to be around for a while. Kamala can probably do some Avengers stuff. I mean, I do like the whole... She's going to get Kate Bishop. Yeah. And she's like, I'm going to start my kids' Avengers. And she's
Young
like,
Avengers.
I'm 23. Yeah, she's like, I'm in my 20s, man. What are you on about? I'm not a kid.
As someone, just to a funny joke that I did like with... That's only just reminded me because she's got the little thingy. Which is, I've got all this intel on you, blah, 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 blah. But when they're at the house and Monica's got it, and she's like, if it's classified, why is it see-through?
Yeah, I can read it. I can just read it from the back.
That's such a good line.
It's like, yeah, that's really clever, actually, yeah, because why would you do that? It's ridiculous. I suppose you'd be like, well, they're also kept on a space station.
Yeah, we don't normally just have them.
So people don't tend to be up there if they don't have clearance anyway, so it's all right.
But yeah, so we got to see Kate Bishop as a nice little Easter egg thing. I did think it was going to be, because that exact scene is in Hawkeye. And she's come home, gives the dog the pizza and stuff like that. Obviously, she's not there. And I
was going to say, I definitely don't remember that, no.
But it's the setup is exactly the same. And I like that, because then it turned out they hadn't just got a clip like they did in Echo, where they used a clip from Hawkeye.
Yeah. That would have been funny if she'd have just turned up waiting there and Echo had come busting in and just beat the shit out of her.
That'd have been real funny, to be honest.
Yeah. But let's think though, right? So there's Kate that's already been introduced. Again, young Avengers, whatever, they're still adults at this point, Yeah. But Kamala is a teenager. So how many other young... So again, you could have, back in the day, you could have had Wanda, you could have had Quicksilver, because they would have been sort of early 20s
Yeah,
as well,
yeah.
but both of them are very dead at this point.
Well,
How many others, sort of kid Avengers have we got knocking around?
none.
Ironheart, potentially.
I mean, you have, but she hasn't got the suit or anything anymore, has she?
No. But again, not going to
Maybe she could build one, so potentially her.
Yeah.
I mean, you could go with Black Panther as well.
I guess.
And I'm only
There's
doing this
this-
down as age. That's all I'm putting it down to, because she's like, what, 19, 20, something like that? Maybe a little bit younger.
Shuri?
Yeah,
Nah, she'd be mid-20s.
mid-20s. Yeah, I can't think of any others, like kid-wise.
No, it's like this. I'm just trying to think if you were, this Scar, I guess, fucking Hulk's kid.
Oh, yeah, but that's in She-Hulk, though, isn't it?
But as She-Hulk's very much still canon at this point.
Up to now, it is.
Yeah. But so you potentially got another Hulk. We haven't really got another Captain America. You could have what was the kid, the Flag Smasher, like her.
Oh.
Didn't she get the serum?
Ain't she dead, though?
Oh, I can't remember.
I'm pretty sure she died.
Either way, though, you've got any of the Thunderbolts, any of the younger ones of those. Potentially, you could sort of rope them in. But there's definitely people better than Kate that I would have been knocking on the door of first to be like. Although I reckon I know what it is. Kamala could get a bus to where she is. She's like, I can't get to Wakanda. What the fuck?
I think she's gone after someone else, and then Kate's walked in and she's gone, fuck, this is the wrong house. And she's just going through it. She's like, Kate, yes.
Get the kid from Iron Man 3. There you go. There's an Iron Man. Done.
I mean, I suppose, what if they, obviously they've brought back Charlie Cox for Daredevil and stuff. What if they don't bring back the Danny Rand's the actual name.
Iron Fist.
Yeah, but I was trying to think of the actor's name. I can't remember his name. But
I don't know.
Instead of bringing him back, they do like Spectacular Spider-Man cartoon where he's a young kid, and then you get White Tiger in there as well.
But again, if it depends on whether the Netflix stuff has, if that is
the picking and choosing.
Kinda, yeah.
So,
I would like a Kid Punisher. That would be great.
I mean, I definitely don't want.
16-year-old is just nailing heads to walls and stuff. That'd be incredible.
But that would have to be. They'd have to change Frank's backstory completely.
No, you just go, oh, well, there was a Doctor Strange cosmic thing, and his son didn't die.
No. So why is he the Punisher?
Because that's his job.
No.
That's what it says on his social
everything
security
about
forms.
it.
but I think it'd be a good little team. Like, I think they would actually make quite a good little pairing. Because Kate isn't like, oh my god, Hawkeye, you're the best. Twinsies.
The exact opposite.
She's just like, yeah, she's like, I'm better at this than you now, so let's kind of team up and you can teach me what I need to know, and then I'll go out and kill people on my own, probably. So I think Kamala would be a good kind of annoying sidekick for her.
You need that.
Even though she's way more powerful.
She's more powerful, but she's still childlike.
She has no idea what she's doing.
No.
Like the fact, I mean, that's another thing. I would have liked to have seen, because as far as I'm aware, literally the second that the Ms. Marvel show ends is when this film picks up.
Yeah, not too far off, I don't think.
Yeah, and Kamala's doing spin kicks and zipping under things and I was just like, I don't remember the show enough, but I'm pretty sure you didn't go through any martial arts training as part of your.
There was stuff where she'd jump over ththings so she didn't get shot, stuff like that.
But again, that's fine. But when she's proper Miss Marvel, when she's stretching and stuff, well, it's like Spider-Man. You don't, when you've got those sort of reflexes and that ability, you don't need to learn kung fu because you're already faster than anything.
Yeah.
Yeah, and with her, it's been the same thing. You just turn your hand into a big sledgehammer and smash people through the wall. Yeah. You don't need to be trained on how to do that. No. It's usually controlling it or whatever. But she's done pretty much all of that on her own.
Pretty much. I mean, she had a little bit of help from her friend in the show. Yep, sir.
I guess, yeah, but he wasn't sort of like action back kick. What?
No, they would just get like more so like helping her to use her powers and stuff and what
Yeah,
you
they're
can
figuring
and
it out,
can't
which-
do.
Again, it's fine. But then, is this supposed to be like is it like some sort of offshoot with Infinity Stone that you can like control space with it?
Don't think so.
Because apparently, like these are the things that made all the hyper jump points.
Pass.
That's what they said.
Yeah,
is that,
I
like,
remember-
when they made
yeah.
all like the teleport hexagon things that you can zip through. Like these things made those.
So maybe.
But then, what are they going to do with the other one then? Are they just going to?
That just reminded me of it. I think she's going to keep them both on, to be honest. May as well. But I did like
But that's
that.
too much power. There's so much power. You'll just explode if you use it.
I did like when she lands on top of the thing and then Nandor is just like, where did you get that? She's like, my nan mailed it to me.
Yeah, that's really funny. That was really funny.
So she was amazing. She was really good. I liked her. I didn't love Miss Marvel like the show. It was okay. It was one of the better shows, but it's not.
Yeah.
It doesn't sit at the top of my. I forget about it a lot.
Yeah.
But she is great all the way through it, and she's great all the way through this as well.
Yeah.
And I got very high hopes for her. But Dan, we're skirting around the main thing.
I know.
So
I know.
whilst the film's relatively mediocre, the best bit was at the very end for the post-credit scene. And I stuck around. There was only this one. Well, you got the Kate Bishop one and this one, and there's no other one. And it's a pretty big one, Dan.
It is. And I hate to say it, Callum. It was spoiled for me.
Oh, did you already know?
I was waiting for it the whole movie.
Oh, man.
I didn't know in what context, how it was going to happen, whatever. But I'd seen something on Facebook.
Probably IGN.
It wasn't IGN. It was some stupid Facebook thing. But it was just like, oh, here's Beast in the cartoon. Here's Beast when he's Kelsey Grammer. Here's Beast in Nicholas Hoult. And then, like, at the very top, it was like, the Marvels. I was like,
Motherfucker.
are you kidding me? But I was just like, okay, it's at like 2 a.m. I've just sort of seen this, like when I'm scrolling through my phone. It's cool. I know what my brain's like. I'll forget it. Yeah. How could I possibly forget that? How could I forget it? So as soon as they were in space, I was just like, he's going to be a scientist on here. It's going to be, but it's not going to be Beast. It's going to be Hank.
Yeah.
And then I was like, we basically got through the whole of the film, and I was like, maybe I put two things together, like in a sort of a sleepy state, and it's actually nothing to do with it. Phew. And then it was as soon as one of them, someone said like, oh, it's like it's a whole new reality on the other side, and it was like, oh no,
that's what it's going to be.
It is real. Fucking hell. But when she woke up and her mom was there, and I was like, oh, okay, cool. They're not going straight into that then. And then the door opened, and I was just like, no, there he is.
Yeah.
And I know you disagree with this, but I loved that model.
Don't get like we didn't, because we only talked about this very, very briefly last night over text message, and we haven't talked about it together since. But what I mean, the design is excellent. It's perfect. It's everything.
It's exactly him
that it should be, and what the Nicholas Holt's an awful beast. He's an awful Hank McCoy, and he's an awful human being. But no, he's a fine he's a fine human being. I just don't like him as Beast. Kelsey Grammer is perfect as Beast.
Yep.
And the incarnation that they did in X2 was good, and in Last Stand as well. But it was just Kelsey Grammer with blue makeup and a bit of fur and stuff.
Yeah.
That's the closest one we've ever had to a perfect Beast. Now we have this, and again, design-wise, it looks amazing. But CGI-wise, the body and everything else was fine. And I don't know whether it's just the brightness of the hospital room within the X Mansion, but it sounds really stupid. I knew it wasn't real. Whereas
that giant blue man,
that's what I mean. I know that sounds really stupid, but then But this is what I meant earlier on. Look at them kittens. That's the same people made Beast, and there's no way he looked anywhere near as good as those kittens.
No, but I would also ponder that they haven't finalised what that person is going to look
this
like.
is and Kelsey Grammer did a little bit of mocap for it, and they tried to. I was reading an interview today, and they've tried to keep as much Kelsey Grammer as they could. And
I agree, like the mannerism, the face, the fact he's smiling, and he's just sort of like, "Don't worry, we'll figure this out." He's not like, "Oh my god, I hate Bigger Beast. Serums." Like,
look at my big feet.
Ridiculous. But like the sort of the scientist, they got that down in the same way that with the Mark Ruffalo Professor Hulk kind of thing.
Yeah.
Where they just sort of, he's just sort of like, we're all, come on, smash kids, hey, let's take a picture, dab in.
Yeah.
Like, it's far more human than it should be. And
but
with
it looks
that,
amazing.
But I see Beast.
Yeah.
I'm just sort of like, oh my god, there he is. Like, that's the one.
If the X-Men film comes out tomorrow, and that's as good as we get, I'm fine with that, because the design just in itself is really good. But I know ILM can do 1,000,000 times better.
But this is the thing, they've gone, we need to test the water with this. Make us a model, make him look good. Yeah. It's for 10 seconds.
Yeah.
And they've gone, sure, we'll smash you something together. When they say, okay, we need Beast, full Beast, talking to people, fighting people, doing cool stuff, and we'll give you $100 million to do it. They'll be like, sure, you give us a year, he'll look incredible. Yeah. Like, he will be the new Hulk model.
And I've got every faith that they can, because, again, we talked about it briefly last week with She-Hulk. They've had... So if you look at the Avengers Hulk, all the way through to She-Hulk, Mark Ruffalo's... The model that they use for Hulk has got better every time, because they've had time to perfect it and change things, and they've got more veins, and now he looks more like Mark Ruffalo, and as technology has got better. Whereas She-Hulk, it was the first one they did. But you can't compare that to Mark Ruffalo's model, because that's had hundreds of millions of dollars put into it, where this had one budget.
If she was filling that Hulk role on a new Avengers team, and there was Kate, and there was Kamala, and there was...
Shit, I forgot her name. Her name is... Holy fucking shit. Jennifer.
Yeah, of course it is. But you get Jen in there as the Hulk character. Like, I think she would be great in that as well. It's like an all-female Avengers. Like, you're building up your roster pretty decently there. But then they would go, right, we need to fix this fucking She-Hulk thing. It needs to look shit hot in order for people to...
That's what I mean, though. If they hadn't put Mark Ruffalo's Hulk in there, I don't think it would have looked as bad.
No. And it depends. I don't know if they go back after the fact and tweak things on Disney Plus. If they go in and just say, well, now everyone's watched it, everyone's whinged about it, but we've got plenty of time now. We can go in and just tweak various bits if they want to. Sure.
Universal did it with Sonic, so...
Well, they remade a film for that. I don't think
I don't
anyone
think they did. I think it was all a marketing ploy.
Well, maybe. But I don't think they go, yeah, sure, we'll re-release She-Hulk, but with a fixed... No, they're going to do that. They're like, no, we had a crack at it, and you get what you get.
What if they did it, but they just used the Mark Ruffalo model?
Well, it's just...
Yeah, he's got dresses on and stuff.
No, I still don't think it would work. But I genuinely really love that Beast. Like the fact that he's got his little lab coat on, but if you see at the bottom of his underneath the lab coat, he's got his X suit on, and it's blue, and it's got like a yellow trim to it. And the fact when he leaves and there's the big X door, and it, like, as if it wasn't obvious enough, it's like, the X-Men, guys, remember the X-Men? That's where she is now.
Because this leads on to the question of, so this is clearly going to be the X-Men we have. When they introduce the X-Men into the universe, the odds are, plus in this interview, Kelsey Grammer, he's very adamant that he wants to play Beast again, and when Beast shows up, he wants to be Beast and everything else.
I mean, who could possibly argue with that?
Like, if you turn and go, like, hopefully, touch wood, he's still around when they do it, but they can't use Patrick Stewart to play Professor X anymore because he's...
No, I think they would need to.
They would, but if they turn around and go, we're going to get James McAvoy to do it, I'm fine with that. He did an okay job. I think they could get someone better, but if they went, we're not going to get Kelsey Grammer, we're going to get Thingy from the last movies, I'll fucking riot. You could put Matt Lucas in as Professor X and I'll be fine with it. But if you don't cast fucking Kelsey Grammer...
No, they nailed it.
Perfect.
Getting him back to do it was
Yeah.
wonderful. And all it makes me think, though, is that when they did those original X-Men movies, where they just,
Blued him
covered
up.
him in blue makeup and fur and stuff, whenever he's engaged in combat, it still has to be a dude in a big suit.
Yeah.
Now, they can doing quadruple backflips, landing on someone and smashing their spine out their arse, because they go, it's good enough that we can make an entirely CG character, and it works.
Well, even stupid things like...
It won't be perfect, but if you can get past the Hulk in all of these films, which I think most people pretty much can, you can do the same with him, and that sets your template for doing the thing.
I don't think Hulk's your template. I think Thanos is your template.
Yeah, that's probably fair. Yeah.
I completely forgot that wasn't Josh Brolin.
Because it works so well.
Yeah.
But that's also years of work, like hundreds of people that have all worked on this, and basically a blank check to make this look like we have to make this perfect.
Yeah.
This has to look amazing. And She-Hulk is like, we'll give it a punt.
Yeah. Get it twerking.
Like, we'll give you... yeah. But... For Beast, like, because if they're doing Beast as a full CG character, I can pretty much guarantee you there's not going to be any other CG characters in it. They will focus purely on him as a character.
Yeah, I mean, like, ex-roster wise, the only other one you could really do would be Iceman, if you got Bobby in there, depending... I don't know what original team they're going with, because we've got Binary... to Mom.
Yeah, so do you know who Binary is?
Very loosely, but she's not part of any of the original teams. So your original X-Men team is Beast, pre-Blue.
Well, I don't think she's a part of the X-Men. I think she's just been doing space stuff and come across her in space. She's like investigating a huge energy whatever, and then she's picked her up, taken her back, and then like, Hank, I don't know who the fuck this person is, what the fuck?
This
I'm going to have a little look.
Like, while you're looking at that, the question I had is, so we can safely assume this is the X-Men we're getting, and the last time we saw anyone do the X-Men was Professor X in Doctor Strange.
Correct.
He died. He dead. Now,
well, he's brain dead.
No, she, yeah, but she. He's dead in that universe. So that universe's X-Men team are seeming probably also dead. So is it the Fox universe?
No.
Maybe. Because...
No, I don't think so at all.
No, but
because I don't think they would have... I don't think it's like, oh, it's the Kelsey Grammer one, but it's just he looks like the proper Beast now. But it's that same... Like, it's James Master's Cyclops, it's Famke Jensen's Phoenix, it's...
I don't think it's going to be that, because they're definitely going to cast new people in these roles. But then, because I think there's a good possibility, I don't know this is a complete guess, but like I've got a feeling, but purely based on the kind of like the post-credit scene for Deadpool 2, this movie this year for Deadpool 3 is going to be the end of the Fox universe, and it's gonna like I reckon there'll be at least some portion of the film where Deadpool kills everyone. We might get like some of the original 20th Century Fox people, might even get some of the Sony people if we're fucking lucky. And imagine that, it's just fucking Morbius shows up. Deadpool just fucking annihilates. I'd love that. But that's the kind of shit I think we'll probably get in this, and this seemingly confirms it for me, because in both universes, the X-Men universe in Doctor Strange, that Professor X is dead. In the Fox universe, Professor X is dead because he dies at the end of Last Stand. Yeah. So there's no Professor X, but he says in I need to speak to Charles. We need to go speak to Charles. Yeah. So he's alive. Yeah. So it's got to be a whole new, different universe. It has to be.
Yeah. They could not. There's not enough. Barely enough good faith in any of those. It's like separate franchises to carry over and just be like, oh my god, I hope Michael Fassbender comes back as Magneto. They'd be like, oh thank god, that beast looks ace.
Yeah.
Let's make sure that we get a proper Cyclops. Let's make sure that if there is a new Wolverine, because to be fair, if they're going to do that, I reckon it would be in Deadpool 3.
Yeah.
They kill Hugh Jackman again, but then like he takes off the claws and then he hands them to someone else, and that's who's going to be the new Wolverine. Or something stupid like that. Like I could totally see that. But I think that with the way that they're going with a lot of this, anything that's been done before, they won't do it.
Yeah.
So I reckon you might get a Cyclops, you might get a Storm, but a Jean Grey, a Wolverine, your Nightcrawlers, I reckon they probably wouldn't focus on those. They would be going Jubilee. They'd be going.
I don't think we'll get Jubilee. I mean, you could do your original roster quite easily, but that has got Iceman in it, so they might not because of that all CG character thing they've got.
Well, again, they did quite a good job of that in the original X-Men trilogy, just only having him turn into proper Iceman for 10 minutes in the third one, because they was like, shit, that's going to be super expensive. But it looked great. And to be fair, he's also proper Iceman in Days of Future Past as well.
Yeah. But again, that's years later when
turn that
technology's better.
But that looks great.
I still think that for the time, I think they did a good job with the Silver Surfer.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think that looked okay. And that's the same kind of motion, like effects and stuff.
I managed to find a thing on Binary. This is just one article, so for the record, yes, there's probably other versions of this. This is literally just the first one I found. So this is also nothing to do with the Photon that we've seen so far or Binary. In essence, Captain Marvel basically uses her battery cosmic powers or whatever to create a human form for her powers to be sort of to interact with the world,
like Jarvis,
kinda. But it's instead of its tech, it's cosmic power or whatever, and that form, it doesn't have a physical body. It's just made of pure energy. Think Captain Atom, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And that is Binary. She's pure energy.
But in this, it's a variant of.
I do like the fact that she's like, oh my god, Mom, and she's like, the fuck are you? She's like, I ain't got no kids. I'm made of energy or whatever. But it doesn't there's these Earth 616 binary, which means that potentially there's these other. There's a Marvel Cinematic Universe wiki. Should we see what it says on there? Oh, cool. Maria Rambeau is a cosmic hero known as Binary and an ally of the X-Men. Yep.
There we go. We know that much.
That's what we also gleaned from this. Yep.
We'd figured that out before you opened the article.
So, funnily enough, no, there's absolutely. I don't. It just in no way is this saying, oh, this is this particular binary from this particular run or whatever. It's just like they were trying to find a way of getting the mom in there again, so that you could basically have another Captain Marvel in the X-Men universe.
Yeah, that seems to be links. The way they've done it.
Yeah, but then to be fair, if that's the case, then that means that if she's, let's just say for the argument's sake, she's got the same power set as Captain Marvel, our Captain Marvel, that means that potentially she and someone with the equivalent of the quantum band power could supercharge Photon to open up another space-time wormhole and go back through. Or someone like Beast or someone like Forge, I love Forge as like an X-Men character, you could just sit him down and just say, this woman, she's from a different reality, a different universe, and she's like used her powers to sort of like seal this thing. Potentially you could open it, and he'd be like, yeah, I could probably knock up a wormhole using technology like that. Like using that energy signature, I reckon I could like zero in on where you come from.
Well, that would indicate though that there is already a Captain Marvel in this universe.
Well, but that's the thing. I don't think that this, again, it would be unlikely that this image of her mom is a pure energy form that's made by Captain Marvel. I think it's just in the same way that the Illuminati had a Captain Marvel that was her again, and she had the same powers. It would be the same thing. It's just that she's got, I'll be honest, a sweet costume because it looks ridiculous because it's like a big,
stupid. I hate it.
a big white like red and onesie, but that is so comic book.
Yeah. But
It just looks so...
Not as comic book as Beast's lab coat.
Yeah, but in the way that any lab coat's a comic book lab coat, they're all white. And
I'm just happy.
It.
I'm just happy that they've done it. Like I say, I'm not overly thrilled at the quality of CG. It's still a million times better than what I could do, but I know it's a million times not as good as what LMI can do. LIM, sorry. ILM. Fucking hell. Anyway, the design's perfect. It's really good. But I equally would have been happy with when he walks past the camera, but you only see like his shoulder down a bit and then some of his arm. I'd have been happy with that.
No one would have understood that. If you'd have said, if there's a big thumping bum, bum, bum voice going past, a big arm, a blue flash, and then it's Kelsey Grammer's voice, no one would know that. They
would.
No, they wouldn't. There would be a few thousand people who would go, oh my God, Kelsey Grammer, that must be Beast. Everyone else would be going, who the fuck was that guy?
Anyway, we are going to scarp it, young man. But you know what you can do, Dan? You can go to podcastversusplayer.com. And while you're there, you can go on, you can look at the store, you can look at reviews, you can look at the podcast, let's plays, game shows, everything else that's on there. Or if you don't want to go through that, you can go through YouTube, youtube.com/podcastversusplayer. Everything's on there, including, Dan, something that it hasn't gone up yet, but doing a new, like a reel, clip reel. So with some of our newer stuff, because as you pointed out the other day, the one we've currently got up's a little bit old, so we're doing another.
It's 4
one.
years old at this point. No,
yeah, it's a little bit old, so there'll be at least 2 new clips to add to that.
Woohoo!
I'll hopefully get that done probably this week and uploaded and whatnot. But no, thank you. Thanks for stopping by, Dan. It's been a marvellous time.
It has. It's been a Brie Larson wonderful time.
Oh, I like what you did
there.
I did see what you did there.
It's good, isn't it?
I haven't got any more, though.
I don't know. I'm sure you can photon better. No, I don't think I'm getting this out.
Bye!